What's up, guys? Lore here, and I wanted to give you guys a look over some of the new features that have happened and been added very, very recently in the Heart of the Swarm beta. Blizzard has been just kind of knocking it out of the park lately, adding more and more and more awesome new features to Heart of the Swarm, really trying to make StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm just really be a much better overall product than Wings of Liberty was. Obviously, Wings of Liberty itself was a very, very good game for super competitive players, but Heart of the Swarm, they're trying to hit everybody from all different angles. They're not only taking care of the competition players and the esports side of things, but also making things a little bit more enjoyable for the average player, somebody who just wants to jump into some awesome RTS action, just get some good playtime in. So, wanted to go through some of the new features that have been added to the interface, just sort of poke around in here a little bit and show you guys some of the new stuff. So, the first thing you will probably notice on this loading screen here, on this first login screen, is it's something that the esports community has been asking for a long time. There's really just not been a whole lot of support from Blizzard in the actual game client in terms of promoting esports. So they finally added a couple really major features that I think are really going to help push this game into new bounds and new heights in competitive StarCraft 2 esports. Of course, the feature here I'm talking about is in fact Kerrigan's boobs. Those have been added now to the load-in screen, and I really feel like that's something that a lot of the esports community would really like to see as soon as they log into the game. Also over here on the side of the screen, obviously, we have the MLG Fall Championship. It even has this Watch Live Now button that you can click, which is extremely awesome. That's something that League of Legends, Riot Games with League of Legends has been doing for a long time with their client, where you log into the game and you'll see something right there that says, hey, there's this tournament going on, you should watch it. Adding that to the StarCraft 2 login screen, that will help quite a bit as well. Of course, obviously, things aren't going to go so well if there aren't a whole bunch of people logging into StarCraft 2, so let's check out some of the different stuff that's being added to make just the average player a lot more at home in StarCraft 2. It's always been a very competitive game, and people have felt a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit afraid, I guess, of actually jumping into games. So the first thing I want to point out is under the matchmaking here, we now have an unranked excuse me, I'll circle it over here, unranked option. You can play games on the ladder that are not ranked. There obviously still is ranked as well, but there is an unranked game mode. It's just 1v1 at the moment. I don't know if they're planning on adding, yeah, I'm assuming that's just something that's missing for the moment, just because it's in beta. But they do have this unranked option available. And one other thing they've been talking about with this, that I don't know if it's in this current build or not, but they've actually been talking about having separate MMRs, because it does have an MMR in the unranked. It's not like it's not putting you on a ladder system or anything, but it does have an MMR just to know who to match you up with. They've been talking about having separate matchmaking ratings for Terran, Zerg, Protoss, and I believe random as well, just so that you can feel like you can feel like it's okay to off race without tanking your current MMR. You don't have to worry about, okay, well, I'm gonna off race as Terran, but since I've been playing Protoss and I've gotten pretty good at Protoss, I'm gonna be matched up against better players with Terran than I am really capable of facing as Terran. So that's something that they're really working on. You can also see up over here, this versus AI option is something that it's actually disabled at the moment. I'm not able to click on it, but that is another nice feature that they've added to this matchmaking screen. It's really just a nice way to put a cohesive, one cohesive area to actually queue up for different matches. So that's really cool. Obviously still has map preferences in here. One interesting thing here is this win percentage has now been added to the match or the map selection itself, so that you can see quite easily at a glance, okay, like maybe I've got a much lower win rate on Antigua Shipyard than I do on Howling Peak, for example, so maybe I want to make sure I check Antigua Shipyard to downvote that particular map. I do think that this in particular should be it should actually have like a down arrow or a thumbs down or something instead of a check mark, because that can be a little bit confusing. Obviously, it says up here at the top, these maps will be selected less frequently when searching, but I just think one nice little aesthetic tweak, there we go. One nice little aesthetic tweak would be to make those a down arrow or something that more strongly indicates that you don't want to see that map, because that could be a bit confusing. Last thing I really want to point out on this screen is this Teams chat that's here. There is actually a StarCraft 2 lookings for team chat that's been added. You see there's 40 people. This is just in beta even. There's 40 people in that channel, and they've added the ability to log into that really easily right there from this actual screen, so that you can just jump right into that if you are looking for a team. And the same thing exists in ranked, and I believe, yeah, it is actually the same chat channel. It might be a good idea to actually have those be separate chat channels. I'm not sure. Let's jump back out of matchmaking. Under custom games, it's basically the same functionality. There is this strategy chat, which is interesting. You can pop that open and discuss strategy with other people. There's not really anybody in there right now, but it is something interesting to have available. There's open games. These are games that people have started that they've marked as open, so you can quickly and easily find a game instead of using the like automatic browser that this is over here. You can bookmark different maps, so like I can come over here and say, okay, well, you know what, I really like Star Station. I can bookmark Star Station and head over there, and there it is, so I can find it again in a hurry. It's probably more useful for the maps that might be down way farther. Like there was a unit tester one. Yeah, there we go. HOTS unit tester. So I can bookmark that and then really easily be able to find that one again in a hurry. So that's cool. There's also a recently played section in here. And actually, wow, I'm actually surprised that it even populated that with anything, because I haven't played any matches in the new beta just yet, but it just must be pulling from old information. And the other thing that really interests me is this play offline feature down over here. Now, I don't think that actually is full offline play, but it might be. I'm really not sure. It lets you play. It says it lets you play solo against AI and doesn't award achievements or appear in match history. So that is something kind of neat. I'll have to find out more about exactly how that works, but that's something that could be cool. One other thing I want to come in, I'll just come in here to the replays section real quick. This is mostly unchanged from before. I do like that the name is much longer. This thing here is much longer now, so it's a lot easier to read entire file names. If I find, let me see if I can find some of them from, yeah, like see how long these replay names are from White Raw's replay pack? Half the time when I was casting these games before, these games are all very old at this point, but when I was casting these games before, I would see up till about there was about where it would cut off. So I'd say, okay, White Raw Protoss versus who exactly? And I just wouldn't know unless I were to click on it and then see it over there. This lets me see everything. So that's one nice little perk for casters especially. And it's nice too because it has like versus AI folder, which I don't think that was there before. But other than that, yeah, pretty much standard stuff. No major changes in the replays section. There is this general chat button over here again. That's basically just general chat. It is nice that they are pushing more people towards the chats though, because they did add chat channels to the game a long time ago, which is something that a lot of people were asking for, but then it didn't really ended up getting used very much. So let's look down over here. This thing is just a lot more, it's just prettier now. I don't think it's really any more functionality to it, except for this players near you function. This is really awesome for like LANs and stuff and tournaments. It actually will find people who are connected to your local network. It will look on your local network and find those people without necessarily having to go through and add everybody to your friends list or anything like that. So that is really awesome. It's going to make organizing LANs and such and tournaments, offline tournaments, well, technically they're still online, but they're called offline tournaments. It's going to make managing those a lot easier. There's the clans section. This has been added. It's actually clans and groups. They haven't added the ability to use this drop-down menu to create a group just yet. But you're going to be able to create either of those. And I can make a clan here. So, I don't know, let's call this, what's a good clan? Well, we'll call it Lore's Lucky Losers. Yeah, tag LLL, create. There we go. Now I have a clan. I am LLL Devil Lore. So that actually shows up next to my name. You can see down in the bottom left here. That actually shows up next to my name, which will help a lot of teams quite a bit, because they've actually a lot of people don't really realize this, but a lot of times when you get when you join a team, you need to get a new account. They will actually go and buy a new account in order to be able to change their name to be appropriate for that team member. So like just one off the top of my head, Crank, for example, very recently went from Slayers to Axiom. He's now part of the team Axiom. And I believe there's been cases in the past where Blizzard would work with somebody and just change their name for them. But since there's no paid name change feature in the game at the moment, which I think is another thing that should be on the way. It's not implemented just yet, but it is something where they would say, okay, well, in order to make him be Axe Crank instead of Slayer's Crank, we actually need to buy him a new copy of StarCraft 2. So that's nice to have this little ability to have an actual tag. And of course, as a clan, then it has all sorts of nice little features here, like I can edit the description. Everyone in this clan sucks, sad face. Save those changes. Yeah, so there's a description. You can put any sort of information in there. Member listing, there's just me, but it says what I'm up to, so that's cool. And from there you can click on it and do voice chat options. That's interesting. We'll poke around in that menu in a minute. Oh, it's just exactly the same as clicking on my thing down over there. Okay, so I imagine it will give different options for clicking on somebody else. There's a specific chat channel just for this clan. And there's new news items, so I can say, okay, new tournament starting. We are playing in some tournament. Let's try to not lose every single game this time. Hooray! So there we go. There's some news items. So that can be really, really nice for, obviously, if you're a clan, like a top-end clan in a team house or something, that's probably not going to be super useful to you. You'll have like a bulletin board or something of your own to be able to talk with each other. But for online clans, that can be really, really helpful. So that's cool. It's going to help a lot more sub-major, like minor clans, the people who are maybe in things like Playhem and whatnot. It's going to help a lot of those guys organize a lot better. And of course, you can go ahead and leave the clan as well. I'm no longer a part of Lore's Lucky Losers, and I can close that out. Oh, let's see. What else should we poke at here? What was this? Okay, chat channels. That's still the same. You can actually pick between different chat channels, so that's interesting. And then the menu. Let's poke around in here for a second. This is obviously it looks very similar, but in the options, I believe there's a couple of new options I wanted to point out. I know there's a lot of stuff that's going to recognize or be recognizable in game, and as I get back into casting StarCraft 2 matches, which should be starting very, very soon again, I'm planning on casting. Basically, I'm planning on having a StarCraft 2 match available every day. So you'll see a lot more of those in the actual game. I'm just looking around in here for anything else that's changed. Okay, so one thing I want to point out: display experience points. There is actually an XP system now. I'm going to talk about more about that in a second. There is actually an XP system in game now to help encourage more casual players. So that's pretty cool. Anything else? Oh, this one is definitely very, very huge. Observer interface. You notice there's nothing in there right now, but look at what it says. Determines which custom interface file will be loaded when watching a replay or entering a game as an observer. Blizzard is actually opening up the StarCraft 2 observer interface to third-party mods. They're actually going to let tournaments and just whoever happens to feel like, I believe it's an XML thing that they're putting together, whoever happens to feel like messing with that, they're going to allow you to make a custom interface as an observer, as a when watching a replay or when entering a game as an observer. And that is really, really huge, absolutely massive for esports, because it allows tournaments to just put everything right in the game and have their own, like, okay, we're going to put our sponsors over here, we're going to move the supply over here because that way it will fit better on our screen and so on. And allows tournaments to give themselves a bit more identity in that regard as well. So that's huge for sponsors, huge for tournaments. That's really, really cool to see. And I imagine there's going to be, over time, probably even better and better observer interfaces actually made available than the standard interface. So that'll be really cool. I don't think there's anything else in here. There's something here just to point out. You can actually disable the players near you option that I was talking about earlier that shows people on your local LAN. You can actually disable that if you want. As well as privacy options. There was something... I don't remember how new this is, actually. This might... I don't remember if this has hit live Wings of Liberty or not, but there is an option now to set an automatic busy status whenever playing a game. That's not super new, but I think that's another important thing to point out. All right, let's check out some other stuff over here. Last bunch of stuff I want to poke around at in here is actually down here in the corner. If I right-click on my little icon there, I can view my profile. This comes up. This is the new profile screen. Just shows some really basic stuff here. Terran, you can see I haven't played any matches, like I was saying earlier. I haven't played any matches since the new update has come out. So I'm still level 0 at everything. But there is actually an XP progression, and you will actually earn XP. I believe you can actually earn XP for doing stuff in-game, like building supply depots and so on. But also for winning matches, you'll get XP as well. And I believe you do still get some XP reward for losing, just obviously not as much as from a win. So that's a really cool way to try and give some sort of extra motivation for players who, you know, just to play that extra match. Like, oh, okay, I'm about to get to the next level. I'll go ahead and play that extra match. Right now, the rewards, I'll show some of the rewards in a minute, but right now the only real rewards are along the lines of decals and such. But hopefully they're in portraits and such. But hopefully there will be more apparent rewards in the future. Let's see, campaign. This is beta, so it doesn't show that I've completed the Wings of Liberty campaign, and obviously I've not completed the Heart of the Swarm campaign because it's not available yet. Season 16 snapshot and such. So basic information here. Looking at some, let's look at the rewards real quick for a second. You can come down here. Obviously, a lot of these have been around for a while anyway. But coming down here, you can see, like, here's a Protoss level 18, level 20 reward. Terran level whatever rewards. There's all sorts of different awards or rewards available, so things like that. The decals, there are different higher level decals you can get. One thing I do want to point out, I'm not going to go into a game to show it right now, but these decals are a lot more visible now. They've become very, very big. I'm going to definitely be pointing that out next time I cast a match because it'll be very visible. But you can see them a lot easier now than you could before. And the same obviously goes for the Protoss and the Zerg decals. There's plenty of those that you get for leveling up. And you get them pretty regularly too. I believe you get a portrait every even level and a decal every odd level. So you do get rewards every time you level up, so that's cool. And I think there's going to be achievements are disabled for the moment, but I do believe there are going to be achievements for those as well. Looking at the match history, oh, it does actually show all of my matches in there. I went on a long losing streak about 8 weeks ago. That sucks. But it does show a whole bunch of matches in here. Win, lose, etc. It's interesting, though, you can sort it by what types of games. So I can look and say, okay, what's just my custom games? What's just my 1v1 games? One thing you know what? I'll get back to that in a second. There's something I want to show you guys in creating a custom game that's super important, but I'll get to that in a minute. Looking at the ladders, this is still pretty much normal here, but you can actually go and look and see. So like current season, this section contains all your divisions for the current season, etc. But it also shows the actual down over here. It actually shows the timeline for the season in game. So that I think is pretty important. Last season, same thing. Career summary, interesting stuff here. Displays your final ranks for every season you participate in. So obviously that's going to be pretty standard from what it was before. But the statistics here are really, really interesting. It can actually show your win-loss ratio, as well as games played and everything, all sorts of stats on your race versus race. It can look at you in all of your matchups. So it can say, okay, how many Protoss versus Protoss have I played? How many Protoss versus Zerg have I played? How is my overall win rate? Lots of really, really awesome detailed stats available in here. Right now it only has 1v1 available. I imagine that's going to be opening up to more in the future. Otherwise, why would they have this drop down? And you can do current season or overall. You can also even separate that out by Wings of Liberty versus Heart of the Swarm. They have said that the Wings of Liberty, you will be able to queue up separately for matches using the Wings of Liberty system, as well as Heart of the Swarm, once Heart of the Swarm releases. So that's just a cool way to support that. And very similar statistics for map report as well. I would really love to see a combination of these two so I could see matchup on map, because honestly, like, I can look at, say, my Cloud Kingdom map ratio and say, okay, well, sure, I've played maybe 30 games on Cloud Kingdom, I've lost 10 of them, and I've won 20 of them, so I've got a 2-to-1 ratio. Awesome, go me. But what if all of those were like Protoss versus Protoss? Maybe I just happen to be good at Protoss versus Protoss on Cloud Kingdom, but a Terran or a Zerg will destroy me. So that's something that I would like to see in this setup, to be able to show not just my overall map win rate, but also the ability to look at my matchup win rate on those, like just a combination basically of the race report and the map report. I would like to see something like that. Friends, basically the same thing again, looking and seeing how my friends are doing in both Heart of the Swarm and Wings of Liberty. And then obviously you can look at Grandmaster as well. I can look at the Grandmaster rankings right now for Heart of the Swarm and poke around in here. Like, here's a Villo. Let's look at him. I can look at his profile and poke around in here. See, he's got 20 games and 11 wins in his current season here. He's level 19 as Terran. I don't know how he's level 19 with only 20 games. I have a feeling some of these stats are a bit messed up. Total career games 633. Yeah, that's a few more than 20, but yeah, I can look at his rewards and stuff too, see what he has unlocked. Obviously, he's all the way up to Terran level 18. He hasn't quite gotten level 20 yet, but he does have all of these awesome decals over here, and some of these actually look pretty badass. Like, I actually really like how this one looks in particular, the level 15 one. And I believe that's all. Like, I can look at his ladder ranking too here, but oh wait, no, that actually went back to, there we go. Okay, back to my profile. It's a bit weird right now trying to get back to that actual thing. Obviously, then there's Wings of Liberty as well, and then explanation, excuse me, about the Grandmaster League. So that is really cool. The other thing I wanted to show you guys real quick, I'm going to go into custom games here. Let's do a play offline. Let's not actually. If I come in here and I do create game, let's make it on Newkirk City. Why not? I'm not actually going to launch the game, but I'm going to create one real quick and make sure that it is a closed match once I'm actually in there. Okay, it is not yet open to public. There is an option right over here. Okay, obviously all these matches, this whole screen has changed quite a bit. It's just moved around for most of the part, but this game privacy option is really, really important. Man, it is so important actually for being able to practice with other players, because right now there's a problem where if you can find somebody in the either in the Grandmaster listing, or if you just happen to know what their character code is, so you can look up their profile on StarCraft 2, you can check and see, okay, he played 43 games against his teammate. Like, I could go look up Idra and see he just played 40 games against Huck. Obviously, they were practicing Protoss versus Zerg. You can look and see what their build orders were. You can look and see what their actual like win rates was. The win rates, or the wins and losses were. Wins and losses is a huge one for running offline tournaments, where maybe they're cast from replays so that people can't look up and spoil the results ahead of time. So you can turn off build orders and say, we're not going to show any build orders in this match whatsoever. You can turn that off entirely. You can also turn off match history completely. So there is no record of this game in your profile whatsoever. This is an absolutely huge thing for StarCraft 2 esports. It's something people have been asking for a long time, and they're finally doing it in Heart of the Swarm. I'm really, really excited for that. And that's really kind of the theme of this whole thing, is that there are so many changes that, yeah, we've been asking for them for such a long time, but they're finally on the way, and they're finally actually happening, especially Kerrigan's boobs. I think that's the most important change being created here. But seriously, I'm really, really excited and really optimistic for Heart of the Swarm. I think it's going to be amazing. So far, I've had a ton of fun casting the matches. There's a whole lot of increased esports potential with Heart of the Swarm. It's going to be pretty awesome. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Lore, and I'll see you later.